Yes, you know what time it is. It is 8:20. Thank you again for joining me. Back in the day, I think maybe, 20, 30 years ago. Can't remember when it was. But I remember volunteering for doing some work in the neighborhood and the community. And we would study our foreseeable tasks and missions to support our community. And we could read up on, strategies and approaches and guidelines. And one person who's been there for a while, he would offer his insights or points of leadership for that day and would say, no matter how much education you have or where you've gone to school, what you've read, what you can, rap on or whatever you have done to put that in your personal library, your banks of knowledge, he said very simply, get busy. Don't be relying on that stuff you have on the wall, your diplomas and your certificates and your books on your shelf. Get busy. And that kind of led me to this title today for this episode of Get Unbusy. No, we don't need to become lethargic and procrastinate our lives away and get to it tomorrow. We need to get on top of our purpose, our message, our mission. We only get one day at a time to do it. No need to wait. Make the assessment, make the analysis, make a decision, and go forward. But when I say get unbusy, I was reading a document or a missive from Mr. Benjamin Hardy. It was dated 25 May 2018. If you get a chance, Google that and pick it up. Mr. Benjamin Hardy from 25 May 2018. So thank you, Mr. Hardy. And I want to share this with you in its entirety. It may take me an episode or two to get through this, but I think it's worth listening to it. And hopefully you can take some time to re-listen to this and take from it what you will from his message. The title is, If You're Too Busy for These 5 Things, Your Life is More Off Course Than You Think. Let me get started. Despite turbulence and other conditions keeping airplanes off course 90% of flight time, most flights arrive in the correct destination at the intended time. The reason for this phenomenon is quite simple. Through air traffic control and the inertial guidance system, pilots are constantly course correcting. When immediately addressed, these course corrections are not hard to manage. When these course corrections don't regularly happen, catastrophe can result. For example, in 1979, a passenger jet with 257 people on board left New Zealand for a sightseeing flight to Antarctica and back. However, the pilots were unaware that someone had altered the flight coordinates by a measly 2 degrees, putting them 28 miles east of where they were assumed to be. Approaching Antarctica, the pilots descended to give passengers a view of the brilliant landscapes. Sadly, the incorrect coordinates had placed them directly in the path of an active volcano, Mount Erebus. The snow on the volcano blended with the clouds above, deceiving the pilots into thinking they were flying above flat ground. When the instruments sounded a warning of the quickly rising ground, it was too late. The plane crashed into the volcano, killing everyone on board. An error of only a few degrees brought about an enormous tragedy. Small things, if not corrected, become big things always. This flight is an analogy of our lives. Even seemingly inconsequential aspects of our lives can create ripples and waves of consequence, for better or worse. How are you piloting your life? What feedback are you receiving to correct your course? How often do you check your guidance system? Do you even have a guidance system? Where is your destination? When are you going to get there? Are you currently off course? How long have you been off course? How would you know if you're on the right course? How can you minimize the turbulence and other conditions distracting you from your path? That's the opening paragraph in Mr. Hardy's statement about your life being off course and probably more than you think. So, as I said, it's going to take me a little bit to get through this message from Mr. Hardy. I think it's worthwhile to hold up here, and we'll end this discussion and may come back for part 2, maybe 3 and 4 going forward. But as I said before, when I have started this 820 enterprise on resilience, I never purported to give you answers or direct guidance on how you should live your life in resilience. You and I are on a respective and maybe common or different paths towards resilience. And it would be helpful if I could say, hey, here's what I did, how I course corrected from X, Y, or Z in my life. But I don't give you that. What I do give you, more than not, are more questions on resilience. And not to distract or disrupt you or throw you off your course in resilience. No, the questions that I offer to you are examples. Yes, models, if you will, of questions that not just to be funny and witty and giving you questions to tickle your brain or to piss you off. No, the questions that I offer to you are the types of questions that should be organic, original, curious, genuine, to you, and not to me or back to me, but to you and to your Creator. And for you not to look and beg for the answer. You get an answer energy, some parameters or some signposts or guideposts towards an answer, towards your destination, but won't be an answer or it won't be the answer. And that's what I do in every episode. I offer to you approaches, but genuine questions to get you where you need to go. So, let's call this part 1 for this statement about getting unbusy. And hopefully, if we get a day pass for tomorrow, we'll revisit the getting unbusy and course correcting on your life in resilience. Until then, pay attention. Stay present. Stay current. Remember, it is always 820.